Every summer evening, just as the sky turned the color of a sweet peach, little Mira loved to sit on the back porch with her grandpa. They watched the quiet garden together as birds flew home, flowers danced in the gentle breeze, and the warm sunlight slowly faded away. Grandpa smiled and whispered, "Not yet. The little lanterns wake only when the sky becomes soft like velvet." Mira softly repeated the new word with a smile. Velvet, velvet, velvet. She loved how magical it sounded. The garden became quieter. The crickets began their tiny evening song. The leaves gently rustled in the warm summer wind. Then, Grandpa pointed toward the old wooden fence. "Look carefully." A tiny golden light blinked, then another and another. Soon, little glowing lights floated gently across the whole garden. "They're waking up," Mira whispered with excitement. Grandpa handed her a small glass jar with tiny air holes. "Remember," he said kindly, "nature's happiest when we are gentle." Mira carefully walked into the garden. The soft grass tickled her feet. Beautiful flowers swayed around her. Golden lights floated quietly through the warm evening air. At first, Mira reached toward one little firefly, but the tiny light floated away. She smiled. Then she reached toward another. It drifted gently into the flowers. Grandpa laughed softly. "They don't like to be chased." Mira stopped walking. She took a deep breath. Then she quietly sat down on the soft green grass. The little glass jar rested beside her. She simply watched. Everything became peaceful. The stars slowly appeared above. The garden glowed brighter every moment. Then something wonderful happened. One tiny firefly floated slowly toward Mira. Closer, closer, and very gently, it landed on the back of her hand. Mira held perfectly still. She smiled with wide, sparkling eyes. "It chose me," she whispered. Grandpa knelt beside her and smiled. "Sometimes the most beautiful moments come when we stop chasing them." Mira looked closely at the tiny glowing visitor. Its little light blinked softly. Glow, fade, glow again. It looked like a tiny living lantern. "Grandpa?" Mira asked quietly. "Why do they shine?" Grandpa looked up at the glowing garden. "They use their lights to say hello to one another. They're talking with light." Mira watched hundreds of tiny lights blinking all around her. It felt as if the whole garden had become a sky full of little stars. Very gently, she lifted her hand. The tiny firefly waited for just one more little blink. Then, it opened its delicate wings and quietly flew back into the night. Mira smiled. She didn't try to catch it. She simply watched it disappear into the glowing garden. The little glass jar stayed empty beside her. And somehow, that felt exactly right. Soon, Mira and Grandpa lay together on the soft grass. They watched hundreds of glowing fireflies dance through the warm summer night. Above them, the stars twinkled. Below them, the little lanterns blinked like tiny pieces of magic. Mira yawned. Her eyes slowly became heavy. She smiled one last time. "Will they come back tomorrow?" she whispered. Grandpa gently squeezed her hand. "As long as the evenings stay warm and the garden stays healthy, the little lanterns will always return." Fireflies are not actually flies. They are tiny beetles. Their magical light is called bioluminescence. They blink to find their families and talk to each other. That tiny glow is one of nature's most beautiful wonders.